1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ground Up Podcast. My name is Matt Walton, here with my co-host Matt Huber. Matt, how you doing?
Doing fantastic today, man. How are you?
It's good. It's good. It's been a good day. Sales meetings, lots of calls, but we also have an awesome guest today. Somebody who's in the AI space, someone who's self-taught in the AI space and doing a few things for different agencies, including himself. Gavin, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. So you run one of your side gigs besides working with a bunch of other agencies and doing other work for other people in AI space. It's called CrowdSnare. Tell me a little about.
Yeah, so with CrowdSnare, along with my partner, we're sort of focused on developing mainly text-based sales agents for companies with a focus on the automotive industry right now. But we're trying to expand into deals for real estate and also like legal. But right now we're really trying to go hard into like private sales. I don't know if you guys are familiar with car dealerships or the auto industry, but like the private sales, typically you have like, I'm not an expert on it, right? I'm more of the AI guy. He's more of the car dealership guy, but you would have like deals going on for dealerships and they get a bunch of people coming in and you have to have salespeople engaging with them constantly, right? To get people in the door. But now with how good you can make some of these sales agents, okay, it's really like soon we're going to completely eliminate the need for like the humans doing this because you can get them so good to where it's like you can have it like the AI can be responding in like 2 or 3 different messages like a human would. Like, what time can you come in? And then another message is like, tomorrow I have this available, like totally conversational, all these things, right? And you can give the AI sales frameworks to use to like think through and like respond to and have the full context of the conversation. And it could be going 24/7 and all these things to where like we sort of identified a niche in like the private sale side of things, right? To target because there's a lot of opportunity there specifically, but this can be applied to almost any industry, right? These types of agents that are like really conversational now and pretty much do anything.
Yeah, I think you're speaking right up Matt's lane right now. Matt will give you a little background on him.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 15 years of automotive experience. I've actually, my primary background has been, sales leadership and building sales teams for the vendors in the automotive space. About 9 months ago, I had a client in my consulting business who asked me to build them a business development center. So we started building a virtual outsourced BDC for them. And so learned a lot over the past 9 months and really kind of became a student in that regards. When Matt and I looked at the idea of exploring, voice AI agents for our own business that we have together, that was a natural progression for us to look at that process for the BDC business in the automotive space. So similar to you, I partnered up with another BDC expert in the space, somebody who's, really, really commonly known. And him and I are in the process of about to develop a BDC focused automotive agent. Now, so when you're saying you're building it for the automotive industry and you're saying it's more for the private seller side of it, and you envision the future being able to potentially even replace some of the people in the store, what is your vision on that? Is it like, I see it being able to absolutely supplement and replace the business development center. I don't necessarily know if at least in the next couple of years it'll be able to replace the in-store agents, but what do you think?
Yeah, so everything is essentially, the way I see it, going to be made to sort of just augment the in-store guys that are closing the deals, like stamping everything and then sending them off. Everything up to that point will be like the AI. Everything from like I said, the text space, whether it's, SMS. We're seeing a lot of like iMessage marketing now you can do with like the blue messages, and then Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, pretty much any channel. You could have like that same agent engaging the people on multiple platforms, right? And also the voice too, which is sort of like a different, it's a little bit more complex to get the voice right,
Yeah.
but like most people still know that it's AI. We've had people like when we're reviewing conversations for the voice AI side of things, we've heard it say like, someone will say, "Hey, are you AI?" And the agent was like, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "Oh, thank God. That's great." So some people legitimately have no idea, okay? But we're going to start seeing more of that, right? As the models get more realistic, the latency drops, more intelligence, all this stuff. Yeah, I think everything is going to sort of augment the whoever the sales manager is. I don't know that. Like, so it's going to be like SDRs, right? Are going to be replaced, right? Doing
Yeah.
research, doing follow-ups, all this kinds of stuff. And essentially, it's just going to be like the job of the human to finalize the deal, to close it. And eventually, I mean, one day, like even that will go away.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like CarMax, oh not CarMax, but like Carvana and places like that. I mean, people have no problem not dealing with salespeople. So I wonder if
Yeah.
that, I mean, it will be a big change. Who knows if it'll be over the phone closing necessarily, but your AI handles everything until you're just up on the website and just getting your deal in, putting your payment information and your information in and getting the deal closed.
Well, think of it this way, Matt. I mean, like what we know, we're all in America. What we know is that the most untrusted profession in the U.S. right now are the lobbyists. Number 2 are the news media, and number 3 are still used car dealerships. Okay, there's still a natural lack of trust, and I think that one of the reasons why AI will have an initial resistance is because people will still feel like the dealerships won't push this as much because they'll still want to keep the control inside of their own 4 walls. I think that the evolution of this, though, and I actually think it'll benefit the dealership significantly, is the amount of trust the AI can instill into the transactional period and process once they even know it's AI, because actually getting away from thinking you're dealing with a representative at the store will actually be something that, when we cross that barrier, I think it'll be something that will make the process even more trusting and more transactional for the customer to be able to go through the Carvana-based approach where they're able to do it without having to interact with the store. Because right now, the stores don't want to accept that, but there's still a lack of trust in that process. And I think if you have some dealerships who take a really proactive approach to really marketing it using that, I think those dealerships will have a massive leg up and advantage. But Gavin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And from what we've seen, like some dealers are more like forward thinking than others in this regard. As it stands, like for the text-based side of things, if you know what you're doing, you know how to prompt AI and all this stuff, you can get it to where it's like they have no idea that they're talking to an AI, right? Like we're already there. I've seen conversations we've reviewed where the guy is like starts flirting with the AI, right? After like booking the appointment, and because it's sending like emojis, right? And it's just pretty strange interaction, but that's happened multiple times, right? So what we've seen though is like a lot of the dealers are resistant to the change they see coming. The AI can be like much more personable, much more consistent in being personable and being engaging and all this stuff, where like much more so than some of the humans we've seen, when they're texting, okay? And like for instance, in one of our flows, the outbound flows, like the email templates, I've created one that's like, as the AI, like, something like you're gonna give me a coffee addiction, right? Trying to get them to respond in the email. All right. And they were like, we've had a lot of issues with dealers saying like, I don't like this email, right? It's too like not professional enough, right? Joking about a coffee addiction. But that's the email that gets us the highest open rate. So they're set in their ways. And I think, the biggest thing is just going to be them adapting. And also if you want to sell to them to really foster that sort of understanding on what the AI is capable of, how it can augment their processes, and then, that sort of thing.
Just out of curiosity, do you think most dealers are excited about the AI itself, or maybe excited about like cutting the cost of salespeople and cutting their cost of business?
I don't think they're excited about the AI. They're excited about the business side of things. Like they just want to sell cars, right? And they like, even though and for the other main agency I developed for, it's mainly also automotive agents. Okay. A lot of the dealers we've seen will sort of use like the AI as a scapegoat. If they're getting frustrated or whatnot, start blaming on the AI, when we can sort of go back and see like their CRMs, like that they've lost a lot of deals themselves before the AI came in. It's just, once they see that the power of it, I think, especially some of the sales guys, like when they're on the conversation too, there's just like a lack of understanding there, and like subtle sort of, not fear, but just like apprehension, something like this, right? It's a very strange time where we're trying to implement AI into all this, and we're sort of learning as we go as what it's capable of and how it integrates and all this stuff. So it's honestly just pretty exciting.
Yeah, Matt, I'd add to that. I'd say that one thing I've learned about the automotive industry in my 15 years of it is it's a very, very slow-moving business in regards to lack of innovation. I think the reason why more dealerships are not selling cars like Carvana is because they're slow. I mean, I've been in the whole time I've been in automotive industry, the discussion around virtual retailing has been a topic of this is what's coming. But every opportunity a dealership has to embrace that opportunity, they snuff it out. And I think that AI is going to be a lot of that. Now, here's the reality. There's going to be a company like Berkshire Hathaway, AutoNation, Penske, who just dives into AI being their process. They're going to prove the concept. They're going to double in size in the coming years, and it's going to take a couple of innovative dealerships, a couple of young owners who just says this is the wave of the future, and they're going to make a bet on that. And those people who lead that charge with it, some will fall, but I think most will be the ones, the big dealerships 10 years from now who really lean into this process. And most dealerships will resist this trend. Most dealerships will say, hey, my guys know how to sell metal, and they'll just try to do it inside the dealership. But I think the answer to your question for me, Matt, from my point of view, is it's not going to be for everybody. But the good news is for you, Gavin, for me, there's over 18,000 franchise dealerships in the U.S. We're not needing to try to sell 18,000 dealerships. And God knows there's going to be hundreds of companies trying to bring in an AI process and a voice AI solution for these dealership world. It's just about finding the few dealerships that can fit in there and dealerships that are ready to go with it. But Matt, I mean, we're dealing with the same thing, I think, in the wholesale business, the SDR business. I think it's going to be that same slow level of adoption, but the people who adapt to it are going to have a massive advantage in the industry. Matt, what do you think?
I mean, wholesale business, I think, is they're ready for AI. They've been going. I mean, anybody who can find a solution for that. I mean, I've seen it been talked about for a long time now, about how much has changed since then. I don't have any doubt in my mind that that's an easy sell to anybody for real estate. For the automotive space, I mean, I think about it like me just personally trying to buy a car. Right. I mean, I don't want to go into a dealership unless I just want to go and like, all right, I don't know which car exactly that I want yet. Let me just go test drive a couple of them. And then I want to get out of there. I don't want to sit down in your chair. I don't want to talk to you at all. I test my car. I'm like, all right, this one I want. I get out. And then I look online to find which ones have the best price. And then I call the dealerships and I say, hey, I see this price over here. I'm ready to buy a car right now. Do you want to go? If you want to beat this price and match it, I'll come in your dealership and I'll sign right now. If they say no, then I go to the next person.
Man, I've been using Best Buy like that for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like you go to Best Buy, you check out the computer or the camera or whatever you want, you touch it, feel it. You'll never buy from Best Buy, and then you'll go look online where you can get the best deal, right? And typically it's Amazon, right? So, I mean, that I believe is the general common buying process of, I would say, more than 70% of people in the automotive space. And so being able to make it transparent, make it clear, make it concise, I think is the big thing that all dealerships need to focus on. Now, Gavin, just to kind of switch gears a little bit, you talked about you have text-based agents, then you also have the interest in wanting to develop voice-based agents. What's the primary thing when you're programming those, when you're building those agents, that you're wanting to have them do outside of obviously the quality of the voice?
Yeah, so the biggest thing in that regard to think about is like what functionality you want it to have, right? So I've developed a number of different voice agents for a number of different industries, but we'll go back to, the auto dealerships example. So you can have inbound or outbound, and you could use it for a lot of different use cases, right? The biggest one and the easiest one that makes the most sense is like inbound service, right? Like, I don't know if you know the CRM Techion. Okay, so we've integrated with Techion a few times, and their API is really easy to integrate with, and you can do all these sorts of things with it. It makes it really easy to have like an inbound voice agent that can schedule appointments, look up like op codes and all that sort of stuff. Some CRMs, auto CRMs, are less easy to integrate with. So that just makes it harder in that sense. But you can do inbound sales. We've set up those where people calling in, asking about a car. Obviously, you would want different integrations and functionality for that, as opposed to like a speed to lead outbound agent that will call someone, text them, and email them when they submit their interest in a car or whatnot.
Real quick before you move on that speed to lead agent, you have the capability of probably getting the lead digested, read, understood what you need to call out almost in a freakishly fast way. Like, so for me, I run a BDC team, right? And what we do is outbound sales. Lead comes in, ideal world, we can get to the first phone call in under 3 minutes. It's kind of under 5 minutes is where like 65% of the difference is going to happen, right? But there's variables when you're dealing with humans, right? They might have other things. They have to then read and digest it. Then they've got to pick up the phone and do that. A voice agent, I would assume, can do it almost instantly. Now, the question I would ask for you, Gavin, is when you're building a speed to lead outbound voice agent, are you intentionally throttling how fast you can go? As in, maybe you could get to the call in 10 seconds, but are you saying, let me make it a little bit more realistic and wait 90 seconds? Because if it's too quick, it's almost giving up the tip that it's AI.
Yeah, great question. It depends on like sometimes like the dealer, like what they want.
Makes sense.
And like some dealers are difficult. Don't do anything on the first 2 days. Let our guys try to get to it, and then like, which is just like a
It's
pain
lunacy.
to
That's
deal with.
lunacy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time we try to do it as soon as possible. Really, like sometimes we have to do like certain wait a few seconds in terms of like getting all the data to come in or retrieving more data from the CRM and things like that. But for the most part, well, I like to set it up as like from what I've researched and what we've seen, like sending a text first and then calling 30 seconds after, around there. That's like the best pickup rate,
Yep.
you know,
We do
sending the
exact
text
same thing.
first
Yep.
and then, yeah. So
Just like,
things
hey,
like
I
that.
just got your information. We're going to be calling you in the next
Yeah.
in under a minute. That's kind of giving them the alert. So when they get that unknown number call, they know what it's referring to.
Exactly. So
Yeah, great.
pretty much that.
Cool. In regards to building out a voice AI, and that's what Matt and I are in the process of doing. And obviously, tell us if you don't want to give away too many tips and hit. We're building off of Gemini right now, and based off of what we anticipate being able to self-program into the talk tracks, we've been identified that LLA or LLM is probably a better program for us to build off of and more cost effective. Do you have a language model that you like to build off of? Is there a program you like to use, or is Gemini also what you like to use?
We've mainly used like GPT-4o to use like, so I've used a number of different platforms like Vappy or Retail, and these are what are known as voice orchestration platforms. So all this sort of connecting like the LLMs and the speech to text provider and the text to speech, which is like 11 Labs with all the different voices, combine all these together for you so you don't have to do this yourself. So it makes building voice AI solutions much easier for like the layman or people who aren't super technical. But yeah, for the agencies and companies I've built for, mainly using GPT-4o. I've heard that Gemini is very good as well as Grok has some good things, Olama. But really, and I have a question for you. When you're using, say, Gemini, the real-time API, the speech-to-speech you're using?
Well, 11 Labs
Okay.
is what we kind of built off of, but then yeah, do Gemini also.
Okay. Very nice. But yeah, so it really depends on like if you want to like build a voice AI application or software or an agent. I mean, it depends on like what you're really going for. If you're really going for like super low latency, like realistic end of turn detection as close as you can get to a human, you would probably want to build something much more fine-tunable, customizable with a platform like LiveKit, okay, where you can really dig into and program the sort of the pipeline as it's called. But if you just want to get something up and running to like take inbound leads for your roofing company, like you could set up Retail or Vappy, right, and be totally fine, and just use GPT-4o like that. Have appointment booking, and you're good to go. So I mean, it really just depends on the use case.
What are your thoughts on GPT-5 then?
I was going to say, that's exactly where I was going with it.
I've heard different people.
Yeah, so I haven't really experimented it yet for voice AI, but I've played around with it a lot, and it's a lot of fun. You know, just shooting back and forth with ideas. I'm sort of trying to outline a software, AI SaaS I'm trying to build with it, and it's really been amazing for that. So I think because it has like the quick thinking and the reasoning built in, and it kind of decides. So that's it caused me some hesitance when I'm trying to use a voice AI solution, because we don't want it to just start thinking too long when it's responding to someone. So on a voice call. So yeah, but I'm excited to keep testing it out.
When something like GPT 5.0 comes out and you've built a lot of what you've done on 4.0, does it screw up everything you've got? Do you need to evolve everything you have, or can you maintain on 4.0 and then slowly evolve into 5.0? I mean, how does that process work?
Yeah. So they're still, OpenAI is still providing 4.0 right now. So it's not like they just dropped it. So we just are still using that for now. I mean, across all the sort of agents I'm developing and managing, it's a lot of them. So we'll probably start switching over. Like we've tested with 4.1 as well. So it really just comes down to right now, 4.0 is plenty intelligent enough. It just comes down to now it's like cost, right? Because at scale, the cost is going to add up.
Yeah.
So, um, GPT-5 is still a little more expensive right now, so we're kind of gonna figure that out and see what happens.
Now, you don't know how to develop yourself and program yourself necessarily, right? You're using AI to do mostly that for you. Did I read that correctly on our background?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you think that AI is going to have a ton of programmers and developers lose their jobs?
100%, yes. 100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've read a lot and seen a lot, on YouTube and articles that, people coming out of college and, trying to get junior developer jobs are finding it really difficult right now because the AI can really just do most of that. Well, not do most of the work, but essentially, like I like to think about it, is it makes like a mid-level senior developers much more efficient and it really augments them. So eventually, like all these little things that a junior developer would do, you don't really need for. And once you learn how to build agents, like coding agents and all this stuff, like those will just be able to do exactly that, right? If you set up the agent in a way you can have agent systems where like one agent is creating the code, another is like checking the code, another one is testing the code. Like those are already being built right now. So the people building those agent systems, which is sort of what I'm trying to become, right? Those people are going to be very valuable who can really understand the technology, right? Because it's harder to become a software developer, software engineer right now. But if you grinded for 6 months and learned voice AI or agent building, right, you would find a job and find work without no problem,
Yeah.
right? So that would be my advice to these people who feel like it's hopeless. Like I've spent all this time learning to code and all this stuff. Just kind of shift gears. You already have a solid foundation, a great foundation, and just dive headfirst into AI and you'll find work very quickly.
Could you imagine like 10 years ago, Matt, there was that whole like political problem where we had all these laborers out there and there was that kind of almost insult, just learn to code, just learn to code. And it was like this whole political, thing that was an instant. Could you imagine all of those people who were laborers who took that advice and learned to code? And now they're here and they're like, oh my God, now coding's not even necessary. Coding's not even like a requirement. All I had to do was just watch some YouTube videos and play with some AI a little bit. And I could have been, far further in that regards. I know a part of what you're doing, and probably a big part of what you're doing is, once again, trying to develop what you do currently. I know right now you're kind of split between developing for some companies in a consulting capacity, which both Matt and I do some consulting as well, but then also at the same time, building your own thing and building your own team, building your own products, building your own services, which I would imagine is probably a long-term goal of yours to build. I know in our discussions before this, you had mentioned one of the challenges you have, which Matt and I have suffered from the same challenges, which is the ability to try to bring in a team that will hold up to the standards of what you're looking for them to be able to have the ability that you want in a person. Talks a little bit about that challenge that you've had in regards to building a team, duplicating yourself, finding people that live up to what you want as you want to scale your own business or, the ability to be able to scale consulting side of it.
Right. Yeah. So I haven't really been in the AI space for too long, about a year now, just over a year. So I don't have a ton of experience with team building, but what I have recognized is that, as I start to build my sort of network and my team, because I want to, like I said, I'm developing some software and that I'm sort of spearheading. And the first thing that my intuition tells me to look for is like, do they have the passion, right? Do they have like the drive to like dive headfirst into this opportunity that is the AI sort of revolution, the golden opportunity, right? These next 3-4 years, in my opinion, where everyone is still sort of like trying to, it's like the Wild West essentially of AI. Everyone's trying to throw darts at the wall, and find billion-dollar SaaS ideas and create them, scale them as quickly as possible. So you really got to find people who are passionate and that are ready to, like, I'm not going to say like work 12 hours a day, but really like grind and try to, they don't have to always have the skills, but they got to be able to problem solve and find the solution and really sacrifice, because this is really my life right now. This is it, right? So, and I told myself about a year ago that I was going to sort of just break into the tech space one way or another, whether I had to brute force it or do what, right? And that's what I've done. And I'm still only in the very beginning. And I want to find more people like that who just want to keep seeing how far we can push this. All right. And just move fast and break things type of mindset.
Yeah, look, man, I love it. And what you're going through right now is what Matt and I went through a little over a year ago, is where we're building our business. And in my opinion, just to give you some unsolicited advice on this process, which is continue to do what you just said. Look for people who have the passion. Look for people who maybe don't have the experience, because a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you didn't have the experience either, but you learned because you had that passion. What Matt and I have developed is we've actually created within our own business the ability for us to go in and recruit people who have certain characteristics. And I'll let Matt explain to you kind of what we look for in our business, and maybe we can just have a quick conversation around that. But we've created the ability for us to find people who have personality traits more than experience, and then develop our future leaders, develop the people that we want to make. And so there's maybe a world where you can say, hey, this is what I watched to become who I am. This is what I've learned. This is where I've learned. And if you find the people who have the traits you're looking for, you can develop them to be everything you are, maybe even plus more. So Matt, if you can share with Gavin what we look for, and then Gavin, maybe this will help you as you're looking to build a team.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a lot of it in general. It's mostly just understand the personality traits of how people are instead of looking for resumes. Obviously, in your industry, if you want to find somebody that has some AI experience, that's great. It's awesome on there.
Right.
But if you focus so much heavily on that, I mean, I think you're going to go through a lot of people, because what you said is what you focus on. You're not focused on how much years of experience they have in AI. Are they passionate? Are they ready to go and dive in like I did? Are they ready to help me grow this business and grow what we possibly can with the vision that we have? That is a different story. So like Matt said, if you don't focus necessarily on what's on the resume, and you focus on, hey, is this person growth minded? Where do they want to be in 5-10 years? Or what does their path look like, and what do they want to go down? Can they do outside learning? Are they happy to go and learn more about it? Like we see some of our best reps that we have who are VAs who had no experience with virtual real estate, who took their time during their training to go and watch other YouTube videos, other information out there about real estate in order to come back to our training and know more about it on purpose. They are the best agents we possibly have. So if we focus on just how people are learning, how passionate they are, what their plans are, what they're ready to grow in the next 5-10 years, you can find those people for you, then train them up as you need to. I mean, it's awesome to see our room of virtual assistants. So when we do our certified reps calls with all of our people who have been doing real estate for a little while, who had no experience at all, who go in there and they talk about real estate like they live in the U.S. and they're experts in it. It's amazing to see that, and they've grown that. So I mean, you have a unique experience of being able to teach yourself. If you can teach yourself, you can show people where to learn how to teach that. So another one little piece of advice also that we had to learn the hard way too is no one's going to care about you and your business more than you are. So if you're looking for somebody to put in the amount of hours you put in, which is going to be crazy amount of hours at times, and do as much work as you, it's never going to happen. At that point, you need to find a partner if you're looking for somebody like that versus just an employee. If you can do about 80% of what you're doing, then you got a rock star.
Yeah, I would say in terms of a partner, like that's one thing I've learned is, like, especially with AI, whether you're trying to do with an agency, or consulting or software, like finding a good partner is huge, because me personally, like, I learned how to sell a little bit when I was selling myself, selling my services. My passion isn't in sales, it's in the technology, right? That's why I got into this. I want to focus on that, really learn how to build stuff. If you can find someone that loves selling, right, and has the same passion for AI, but they just want to sell people and, close deals and all this stuff, like, that's like you're striking gold there. If you can really get on the same terms and you guys both have that vision and you both care about the same company as much as the other, that's what I think a lot of people should look for, because it's really hard trying to do it all yourself when you are the only one who cares about your business as much as you, right? It's very hard, what I learned. But just keep networking and find people. There's like tons of communities, everything. That's how I found literally everyone I know, right, in the space. So yeah, that's one also thing I've big thing I picked up on.
I think there's
So
a opportunity for me to bring up this book every single time we have a conversation. That's Who Not How. I don't know if you read that, Gavin. I think I brought it up almost on every conversation we've had because it comes up naturally. It's like what you said is on the point of that entire book is instead of you going out and saying, let me learn all of this stuff that would take me years to learn and master, find somebody who's mastered it. That's your weakness and partner up with them. And that will help you
right,
get to where you want to go in half the time, if not more than that.
And I would say
100%.
even more than I would say to add on to what Matt just said is not the could I learn it, but if you're not passionate about it, are you going to learn it? Like Gavin, you might not just be somebody who's going to ever enjoy doing sales, and there's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. You couldn't pay me enough to sit at my desk all day long and be an accountant. You could tell me I'll give you millions of dollars a year to sit at your desk and look at numbers and spreadsheets and not interested. Would never be interested in that. And some people you just have to find your lane and then understand what your weaknesses are and then to find the people who you can partner with that can supplement that. But I mean, just like a marriage, a partnership is the same thing. You got to find the people who you work well with that see the world
Right.
the same way, that will be able to both supplement you, but also get the best out of you in that sense. Now, in regards to building a team and staffing, I assume you don't, but I shouldn't assume. Do you have a problem with finding people outside of the U.S., or do you want to keep people close to you? And I ask that question because when we deal with companies, a lot of times companies have that narrow-mindedness of saying, I want to have people in my city in an office because there's a ton of value in being able to rub shoulders with people, being able to be face-to-face with people to do business. Is that a valuable thing for you in building a team and building a company? Or is just having access to the best people and the best talent across the world more valuable?
Yeah, great question. So as far as being in an office, like that really doesn't matter to me because like, part of the reason I started this entrepreneurial journey was so I could have more
Not be that.
freedom, be able to travel more, work from wherever, right? That was a big part of it, as well as the passion for technology. But um, there is some for me personally. There's something to be said for working with Americans, but part of that is just like everyone likes to have camaraderie with people and whatnot. But what I've seen more and more is that when working with AI, especially things like voice AI and like the conversational AI, being able to prompt really well is like a huge skill, like not to be understated at all. And if you don't not a native English speaker, you definitely will going to struggle a little bit more, and it's going to be you're not going to find the best prompt engineers with people who are not native English speakers, right? So this is one thing I definitely think about a lot, because before it's kind of like you can have a great development person from anywhere, from Pakistan, from South America, from Eastern Europe, but they don't really need to know like natural English, right? Natural language, but now you do. So that's something to consider. If someone's proven that they have all these skills, it doesn't really matter to me where they come from. There are cultural differences between work and not. So that's and I've seen that with like for one of the agencies I'm developing for, like they have a whole team of like guys from Pakistan, and sometimes they'll start speaking like I think it's Urdu, right, on the calls and stuff. So and obviously I can't understand that. So sometimes I wish they would just and they do like their own calls sometimes. So it causes like not friction, but it's just like not the same level of communication, right? And like being able to communicate clearly and just like people know and pick up what you're saying, and I think it makes things more efficient in the long run.
Yeah. Look, we've got some of our best people are from Pakistan. If they even attempted to, without our permission, speaking in their own language, I'll shut that shit down immediately.
Yeah.
Like, but there are also value, and we have our head developer who's from Pakistan that works for us. We have our head of recruiting, my executive assistant, our head of our sales department, our head of our BDC department are all from Pakistan. And they were on a meeting with a potential additional developer, and they were all struggling struggling trying to communicate in English. And I just said, hey, I know I've got 4 trusted people on my team and I said, go ahead and speak in your language to the new developer. And the conversation went very, very different once they were not having to speak English. So I think that's a great thing that you picked up on. And I've never considered, Matt probably has, but I've never considered the prompting side of the non-native speaking person there. Now, do you think that as long as you have a Native American person testing it and really running the AI, voice AI through the rigors, and then communicating to the non-native speaker that supplements it, or is it still going to be a gap in your opinion?
Yeah, that definitely supplements it. I mean, it just depends on what your team's developmental workflow really is. It's like someone like focused on building integrations and then someone else will come and prompt everything, or does your developers do both the prompting and the integrations, right? Because that's the ideal thing, because you kind of have a bigger total picture of what needs to be done and built. So it really depends, but I think at the very least, like the QA person who was testing things like before like going live or into production is going to need to have like a very strong grasp of the English language or whatever language you're sort of like
Right,
using,
whatever
whether
language
it's
you're
Spanish
trying to
agents
deliver.
and whatnot. So
yeah, I think the way we have it now is we've got 2 AI-focused developers. They're kind of like our head developers. We are looking to bring in specialists for integration, specialists for prompting, specialists for this, but the one person will be an all-encompassing, over-the-top process. And then we have experts, industry-based experts. So we have a BDC expert. We have Matt, who's a real estate expert. We have me, who's a sales expert, who will be over our voice AI rollouts to make sure that they are being able to be delivered, communicated, and effectively prompted from an execution perspective as well.
yeah,
That's
and one
kind of how
quick
we
thing
have it
I'll add
structured.
to that
Yeah.
is like you got to think about it like this to really get those realistic, like especially text-based agents, right? You want to have someone who knows, like, especially if you're targeting a certain area of the country or Canadians, right? You want to have someone that's mentioning like, use a regional Canadian accent and say things like or whatever, how they speak, right? How they would talk, and prompt that into the agent. And they're probably not going to know any of that. They're just going to be like,
Of course.
try to sell this thing and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah, it's so
very, very important, the prompting.
Would you, and my team did this to us when we actually were interviewing our guy. He actually pulled a couple of our podcasts and then he programmed the voice AI to display what he could do in my voice. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also a little freaky. Now, would you, in a sense, if let's just say you're targeting Boston, Massachusetts, and we all know Boston has a little bit of a specific accent, would you use a Boston specific accent to be able to be that, to kind of simulate that you're calling from the Massachusetts area? Would you use a New York style voice if you're calling from New York? Or would you try to come up with a more universal accent that would be universal across all of the U.S.?
100% I would use like a regional accent if like I had a good voice, which I would at least like A/B test or something, right? If you had that ability to like if you have a good Boston accent, like 100%. And I think eventually, like you think about 10 years down the road, like there's going to be a ton of that nuanced accents. Like one thing I like to talk about is like language learning. I'm like to learn languages in my spare time, and just what people are going to be, the apps people are going to be able to build using like, okay, I want to learn a Colombian accent, right? Instead of paying someone thousands to record a bunch of audio for some kind of app, now you can just have it generate in 2 seconds, right? With AI and like an Argentine accent or Colombian, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's only going to become more powerful as the years go by.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of end this with a little bit of a fun process because I know we're kind of running tight on time here. I had an employee of mine share this idea, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. It's got really nothing to do with voice AI; it just has to do with AI and how you can use AI in regards to your business. And I actually heard this in a podcast over the weekend as well. So they talked about using. So my employee came to me and said, "Here's what I've done. I've spent the past 10 hours just talking to ChatGPT and telling them everything about our business." And I've said, here's what we do, here's what it is. I've explained every employee, I've explained our payroll, I've explained everything. And now it knows everything about the business. So now I can go to it with a question and it gives me advice based off of what I've already downloaded in it. And then I also heard on a podcast, the Iced Coffee Hour this weekend, they talked about this guy spent 30 hours developing a board of directors inside of his business with all prompting focuses of this guy has this focus, this person has that focus, this person has that, and he created an overall board of directors. What do you think about using AI and ChatGPT, for instance, to be able to create that level of business support to be able to create different structures for somebody who's an entrepreneur or a business owner in an advisory type of?
Yeah, I think that's 100% a great idea. Obviously, not everyone has that much time, but I would love to do that for pretty much everything. Found out is that really, if you know how to prompt AI and use AI um, efficiently, you can learn anything much quicker. You can pretty much augment any of your tasks, any of your thinking much quicker. And especially in like a business sense, right? A lot of business comes down to, emotional decisions, at least the bad ones, right? If you want to look at things impartially as possible, and that's hard with your own business sometimes, okay? But if you have like an AI that can give you impartial advice that really knows the context of your full business, it can sort of reel you in and ground you when you need to bounce ideas off of it. That's huge. It's like having almost like a mentor, right? Like a mentor with a ton more experience that can pull from different disciplines and really ground you. Um, there's a ton of uh, just power in that. So yeah, I think that's an incredible idea, and I try to do that as much as possible. Is sort of ideate with AI at even like a basic level when I'm about to do whether it's content or planning or whatever. It's so powerful. It really is.
So Matt, what I'm taking from this is I think Matt and I tend to have late night discussions. He goes for a walk after his kids get laid down to bed. I go for walks at night. We had like a good hour-long conversation last night. I think, Matt, let's cut our conversations down to 30 minutes, and let's you and I commit to 30 minutes with ChatGPT every single night and creating something like that, because I think it could be something very valuable for us in the future if we do it like that. Look, Gavin, I couldn't appreciate it more. You jumping on, talking through this. I think that I look forward to Matt, myself, getting to know you more. I think that there's a world where we can help you. I think there's a world where you can help us. And I think at the end of the world, I think there's nothing better than having friends that are kind of running in the same direction. I see a lot of what you're doing lining up with what we do. Matt, any last questions before we run?
No, I mean, Gavin, just for you, is there any place that people can reach out to you? I know you learned this all on your own here. Is there any advice you can give to somebody trying to learn AI right now and they jump into the space?
Yeah, so you can find me in pretty much Gavin Stroll, STROHL, on all the platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. But as far as advice, I would just say, become obsessed. You can't really teach yourself passion, right? You either have it or you don't. You got to find that. If you want to break into tech, then, go out and do it. I taught myself everything from YouTube videos and some other courses, right? But everything you need is on YouTube, right? Anything. So, you know, keep grinding, keep, taking action. And I mean, you can pretty much accomplish anything. 100%. I truly believe that.
Thank you, Gavin. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for everyone who's watching. If you got something at us like we did, please like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell icon and get alerted. We drop these podcasts every Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 Eastern, somewhere around that time. Please follow us and follow Gavin also. Learn more about how he grows his business and the more opportunities he has for you in AI. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
1,